here.
Feels like we're here.
Just a conversation.
How about that? Hey, it's an honor to be number 2. Dustin was your first, and I really enjoyed that interview. Did a great job. He tells a great story. I mean, wow, what an amazing person.
Yeah, so the whole point of me trying to do all of this, which we're finding is a whole lot of work to just have a conversation, but I think it's something that I've been pulled to in the last few months to try and educate myself more about things that I haven't been able to really dive into over the years that I've been wanting to, but also be able to capture that experience both for myself, because a lot of times I'll find myself sitting in deep conversation with people and I'm enjoying that conversation so much that I completely forget what the person's saying and how it's impacting me. And when I take away, what I end up taking away from the whole experience is just a really genuine connection with someone, but not actually understanding and interpreting the depth of what they were explaining to me and providing to me and educating me through the process. And so I've gone to great lengths to try and eliminate that barrier, but also it kind of is a double-edged sword where now I get to take people outside of this experience with us on the journey of what I get to go through. And so this episode 2 was something I really wanted to do with you specifically, because of a lot of reasons. Number one, I'm told often that I'm very much like you.
Wow.
And so for me to dive into that and understand that evolution and where that came from is something that I've always really wanted to do. And then number 2, we just don't ever get to have these kind of conversations. We're always, when we spend time together, it's always either at the rodeo or at an Astros game or at family Thanksgivings, and it's chaos and we're having a great time and it's fun, but we don't actually sit down and have just a conversation.
Sure. Well, a lot of things we do together, and we even did it when you were younger, are event-based stuff. It may be a football game or a baseball game or something like that. And it's true. But, I also cherish those things about our relationship. We find ourselves in some pretty cool places. Back when you were younger and I was doing some radio broadcasting over in Bay City, I mean, I used to take you every Friday night. And Bay City was good back then. And we traveled to places like the old Texas Stadium where the Cowboys played for a state championship football game. And we got to throw football on the stadium. And, we've been to the Astrodome a couple of times for those kind of things. So, those shared experiences for me as your father probably are some of the best memories I have of your childhood, of getting to take an opportunity just like this today. You're bringing this opportunity to me.
What do you think about all, like, what is your having heard now what I'm trying to do?
Sure. And,
What is that?
I mean, this is a long time setup. These lights, the cameras, the tractors, everything that you've got set up just kind of make me feel comfortable. It's taken 3 to 4 hours to do it. You and your buddy Reese spent a lot of time just to make this look good.
Yeah.
And I know you're a professional, and I see the meticulous nature you have in what you're doing professionally with this, and it's amazing. It truly is, and I appreciate the fact that you actually came to my work to have this conversation, which is kind of strange, sitting in the shop here and doing this interview. But, Jordan, you mentioned a part about sometimes you have conversations with people, and it's human nature. When you're having a conversation with someone, oftentimes you start thinking of what you are going to say next and not actually listen to what that other person is saying. And but I think you've done a good job about it in life, because usually you listen and then there's a follow-up question or an explanation.
So I want to interrupt you for one second, because there's one thing, and this will likely surprise you. And the thing that I hate about this reference the most is I don't even know who you were referring to when you referenced it. I can't recall the name of the person that you were referencing when you told me this.
Okay.
But I remember there's one moment in time that probably most greatly impacted me from something you said, and that was it was right after my birthday. We were at the Orsak family reunion in
Frenchstadt, little bitty town, yeah, here at
Frenchstadt.
Caldwell. Up in,
Yes. And there was one, I remember him as an older gentleman because I was a kid,
sure.
but I remember you mentioning, and maybe you didn't even directly say it to me, but I'm almost positive you did, that you always enjoyed having conversations with this one individual because you could tell he just listened. He enjoyed
Genuinely listened.
listening.
And it's amazing that I think I know
And
who.
you said,
Yeah,
the
I
way
know
you
who we're-
said it to me was
Yeah,
just, man, it may have been on the way home. It was just like,
sure.
and again, I don't even, you brought up the guy's name and you're like, man, I really enjoy talking to him because he has so much. I mean, I think he was a lawyer or something. Like, he was a busy guy. Like, it wasn't like he
Sure. I remember.
wasn't a rando. It was like,
Sure. And I referenced that gentleman, and to this day I know his name and who he is, and it is. It's amazing in life that you find people you have conversations with, and you walk away from that conversation, and you're like, that person actually listened to what I said,
yeah,
was interested in what I said, and had follow-up questions and asked me about my life or what I was going to do.
Mhm.
And I think that is a person. That personality is a magnet personality. I think you possess that. I think you possess that magnet personality, and I've told you this many times. How proud I am of you and what you represent and how you do things. And with that talent or that ability, that people want to follow you. People listen to what you say. And in having that personality and that ability to do that, that's a huge responsibility. And I've always told you, you can't take that responsibility lightly, because I think you're a motivator. You've never been a follower. There is no doubt that you are not a sheep. Ever in your whole life have you been a sheep. And sometimes in life, that's a struggle growing up, because you'll have teachers that you just don't click with in elementary or junior high, and they don't see you. I always joke about all these people that are in the gifted and talented, and all they're checking on is their ability to do math or English. They never check on someone's ability to play music or ability to be creative thinkers or things like that. And so when you
or
label
just be socially aware.
aware, and I think that's something you possess, and I think as a parent, myself and your mom Shirley, we taught you and Kara to be absolutely social aware of where you were, who you were talking to, and your surroundings.
Kara could talk to a brick wall.
Kara can walk into a room and she hugs you, and she sincerely hugs you. She cares about you. And when you talk to your sister, she'll tell you about 4 to 5 different people and what they have going on in their life, and it matters to her.
Yeah.
It's not superficial.
Right.
And that's a struggle sometimes in life, because sometimes things get really superficial very fast. And I know now that you're living out in LA, and I know that sometimes seems to be a plastic world, but I never worry about you, because I think you were raised in a small town where everybody knew what you did and how you did it. Everything you did right, everyone knew about it. Everything you did wrong, everyone knew about it.
Yeah, I hated it so much.
I know you did. But
I definitely did while I was here.
Again,
I absolutely hated it while I was here. But I think it was not because of. Now I'm so thankful for that.
But I go back to my thought of that teachers who thought at one point in time you couldn't be controlled and you were not a sheep. And we never once said, we need to squash that. We need to make sure that is not a part of your personality. But guess what? I didn't want you to be a lockstep, follow the rules kind of kid. Matter of fact, we always have discussions. When someone tells you no, you have an innate ability to go, but why not? Or can I talk to your supervisor? Let me talk to your manager. Yeah. No doesn't mean I'm stopping. No means I'm trying to find another method.
So then, when did you and Mom decide to take that, I guess, approach? Like what? When I was younger, and I'm sure Kara followed the same.
Well, Kara was different. Kara was different. Kara was a rule follower. Kara colored in between the lines. You didn't. Yeah. You never wanted to color between the lines. So, you were okay.
So how was that? when was that prevalent, I guess, maybe? Like, when did you
Oh,
notice that? Like, at what age was that like a
yeah,
thing?
you
Like,
know,
when?
Jordan, you were always, I wouldn't say, I don't want the word is defiant. I don't want to say the word was difficult, but you always found a way to do what you wanted to do. You were not going to be stopped. If you wanted to go out on a Saturday night and you were grounded to your eyeballs, you were going to come up with a scenario where, guess what, Dad, Mom, I really need to go out because so and so may do something wrong and they need some guidance and direction from me to make sure they're going to be on the right path. I mean, you knew what buttons to push, you knew what stories to tell. Oftentimes growing up, I always thought you enjoyed telling tales. I don't want to say lies.
No,
but
I used to really enjoy storytelling. Like, I remember,
exactly.
I've lost it now. I feel like as I've gotten older, in fact, I wish I could gain it back. I'm hoping that through these types of discussions, I can remember how to do that better. But I remember, like, in high school, I was very good at convincing people, like, let's go do this and make up this idea,
Elaborate,
an
yeah.
elaborate, exciting thing that's going to
Sure.
happen, and it felt very organic to me. Like, it was something that just flowed
And Jordan,
out of me, and it
there's
hasn't. And a lot, like, I've changed over the
again,
years, I think. But
maturity brings, I need to stay a little bit more in the lines because if I go outside the lines, success is probably not going to occur.
right.
Okay. But in high school, you loved the fabrication, the gray area. I don't want to say the lies. You liked that more than you liked the truth.
Yeah, but I think that was
if
also
the truth were simple. If the truth were, I want to go here, it would be not, I want to go here. The story would weave itself into like an unbelievable lattice work of a story, just so you could go do what you wanted to do. When a simple story,
Yeah.
like Kara would come to us with a simple story. Hey, I want to go here. Okay, yes or no. Not you. Yours was
So-
an epic battle of I need to do this or else the world is going to change.
why? What do you? Where did you first start noticing that? And what do you like? Did you do that? What were you? Where do I get that from?
I
Where
think
does
there's
that
probably,
evolve?
I think that creativity does come from me. I don't think I had it as so much of a teenager because I was a rule follower. And then, of course, my early life, your mother and I got married when we were 18. So I think my ability.
Like, what was your relationship with your dad then? Like, was that
My dad was nothing. My dad died when I was 16. We worked in the Ganado Cafe. I mean, he was more of a boss than he was a father. And the last couple of years, when he was going through some cancer issues, things at the house were difficult.
Did any
So,
of that play into how you wanted to raise me?
Jordan, I think as a parent, every situation is different. I mean,
You don't go into it like, I'm going to avoid these things, or I'm going to.
you try to do the best you can. I always tell this story. My dad had the Ganado Cafe. Mom and Dad had the Ganado Cafe. And to this day, one of the things I like least are steaks. T-bone steaks,
Yeah.
sirloin steaks.
Yeah.
I don't like them. You've heard me tell this story probably many times.
Yeah.
Because as a parent, my father, working in the cafe, would bring home steaks every night for supper because what did he want for his family?
Right.
The best. And so, as a kid growing up, you're like, hey, can't we have a corn dog or some spaghetti? Okay, so
Right.
his best to me was, and our family was, let me feed you to the best of my ability. Well, okay, I'm not a cook. Okay, the best of my ability is how do I raise you to be the best adult I can make you so that you're independent. Well, you never had struggles with independence, ever. And
Right.
me and your mother have always said, we never worried about you in the world, ever.
Why?
We knew you had the ability and the method by which to make money. Whatever that method may be, it may be whatever you chose it to be, but you were never going to go without. It's like when you had your Camaro and you could have went and got $100 battery, but no, you had to buy the extended life battery for $250. You have to, right? Because now that battery, if it ever goes dead, you can take it back and you get one free of charge. And we're like, okay, you're still spending $250 for a battery when you could have bought
Long-term
2.5 or
investing.
3 batteries for that same. And so, but that was you. If you wanted something, you made money to get it done. Similar to the dirt track you built behind our house when you were 12, 11 years old. You created funds to get a guy to come in to move some dirt to make you an acre dirt bike track in our backyard.
Right.
So I mean, we never worried.
So then, what did you worry about?
You're in that independence, and in your ability to not stay between the lines. That you would like the gray area too much and stay there too much. That you would, it would be okay with you if some things you did maybe weren't as moral or as ethical as we would wish them to be.
And did that ever?
No, it never did. It never did. But you know, we hope we raised you.
I'm addicted to cocaine.
Well. Well, okay.
No.
Let's go ahead and cut the interview short, and let's pull out the white stuff.
So it never did it.
You know, Jordan, it never materialized. But as a parent, you always were hypothetical things to the nth degree, and it's just nature of a parent to a child. I'm wanting your best interest. Your mom's wanting your best interest. Your family's wanting your best interest, and so in wanting that best interest, you worry.
So, what was the hardest part about? Because and even still to this day, I'm very ADD, ADHD. Like I love to move at a very fast pace.
I disagree. I think you are busy.
I definitely like to stay busy, but there's an innate reason why. I think that's either I'm running from something, and that's what keeps me busy. Like if I don't want to think about things or process things, I'd rather just be busy.
You know,
but it's either that or I'm just innately.
Yeah. I don't know, Jordan. I think when you do things constructively, when you create stuff. I mean, is it ADD? If you're sleeping 6 hours a night because you're so energized about doing stuff, is that
That's
ADD?
Fair.
Do I think you may have some ADD, ADHD tendencies? Yeah, probably. And you know, at times we probably thought that maybe that was going to be an issue, but at some point in time,
I think at times it definitely was.
Oh, agreed. But and you know, the school system and the teachers and all that, we're pushing it hard. Why? Because guess what? Roland Orsak wasn't a sheep. He was absolutely not a sheep. And what do you want in a school setting? You want everybody to stay in their chair. You want everybody to be quiet. You want everybody to follow the rules. And you know what? And there are people in this life that do that, and they're fine with that. You weren't. But you'll find a teacher. I want to bring up a teacher.
Okay.
Deborah Mallman.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say about Deborah Mallman?
Incredibly influential in my life.
Absolutely. Because tell me why.
Right, like from the hip, I would say that she embraced who I was. She didn't try to package me into her curriculum, which is not her responsibility. Isn't to do that, but she allowed me to learn, I guess, maybe at my own pace, but learn things in the way that I can perceive them, and just let me be myself through that process. Maybe.
Did she have rules?
She did, but they weren't. They were like logical rules to me.
Common sense.
Yeah, it was like I think that's where I fade in the structure of the world. It's, at least I've noticed this. I don't enjoy breaking rules. I don't classify myself as a rule breaker,
right.
but I'm very intolerant to illogical things.
Right.
To things that just don't make
It's a rule for a rule's sake.
Yeah. And I get nowadays with the way our world is so populated and we need to be general. Like things need to be ruled out in a general sense.
Sure.
And that's fair. But I guess and I look at that in most cases and I hate to say it, but I go, that's not for me. Like that's not for me. That rule is not for me because I understand the purpose.
It doesn't apply, but the common sense aspect of it makes no sense to you.
Right. And I think back to Miss Mallman, she just allowed me to absorb things in the way that I think she respected. At least I don't want to speak for her, but I think she respected that she knew I had the capacity. It was just getting me to convince myself that this is what I want to do, and this is what's for the betterment of me. And she was more. She saw
invested
in me than than the curriculum, I
Right.
guess.
Right. She
And so
saw.
then that inspired
Yeah.
me to be into the curriculum.
I look at a teacher like that and go, she sees the unpolished diamond and she's willing to polish it a little bit to let it shine.
Right.
And she's okay. She's okay with the flaws of the diamond, right?
Mhm.
Because she realizes her time in your life is a small window.
Very.
And in that small window, what impact did she make?
Very, very substantial.
Very
So much
impactful.
so that I've kept that window grew because
Exactly.
of that micro
Absolutely.
moment. Now I still feel
Exactly.
a friendship and
A kinship, right? Exactly. And you know, when she messaged you, you know, in whatever social media she chooses to message you, you know the sincerity of that message
absolutely.
and the priority you give it.
Mhm.
And you know, there are people in this life that are like her in all our lives. That you go, wow, that person cares.
Mhm.
And in that caring, you actually feel like you owe it to them to aspire to greater.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And to do anything less is cheating yourself, but also cheating them
Mhm.
and their faith in you.
Mhm.
And so, you know, so that's why I look at your high school days here at East Bernard, and I look at them as a wonderful palette of incredible. I mean, in the freshman year, you got into a one-act play that was a chaotic situation that I had to go meet with the principal about because you were acting up during one-act play practice, and I was so frustrated with the meeting. I was
I
like,
think we set off a fire streak.
yeah, I think we did too. To the point where I was like, okay, if he's so bad, kick his ass off the dang play. And then the director of the play, the teacher who was in charge, was like, no, you don't understand. He has one of the starring roles. I just need him to behave.
Which was an accident. Which,
Go ahead. Tell me the story.
no, I guess in hindsight, like I look at my high school time here. If we're gonna dig into that a little bit,
Oh, let's go deep.
that was a very strange developmental time in my life. I mean, I think it is in anyone's
Sure it
life,
is.
but it was difficult for me to be in an environment where everything was so structured conservatively in every way,
Sure.
in every manner. And I think that amplified I'm so thankful for the experience that I've had. And like I said, I'll reaffirm that, like, I wouldn't have changed. I now to this day would not have changed what I got to go through, and like living in a small town and knowing everyone K through 12 by name, almost, and
sure.
like almost knowing anyone that you pass by within the city limits by name. I would not want to change that for the world. But being at that age and being obsessed with, I had this just innate hunger to not be different, but just I love the exploring outside of what it seemed everyone else just accepted as their reality, or everyone understood.
Sure.
Like this is a comfort zone for so many, and I'm very thankful for that,
Sure.
because I think majority of society enjoys that and needs that, and I don't want to disregard community and close, tight knit.
It's your foundation.
100%. But it definitely fueled my, I wouldn't say passion or drive, but it made me even more probably intolerable to be around, because I almost wanted to be even more aggressive to figuring my own shit out.
Sure.
Because I never felt directly connected to.
Again, I think in a small town,
here.
you have this obligation. Okay, you played football, you played basketball, you played tennis, you did one-act play. You played in high school. You and two buddies decided, hey, guess what? We're going to start a Texas country band. So you know what? There are some structures, but there are some, hey, what the heck? Let's try this. Because,
100%.
Because in a small town, you can be what you want to be.
You can do 150 through Main Street in the middle of the night.
Did you ever do that?
And you get away with those things. Like, whereas like if you lived in the middle of the city, you would end up in jail for the evening, and the next morning your parents would have to come pick you up. And
first,
so
you didn't ever do 150 down Main Street. I hope not.
I was really thankful for that. If anything, this wonderful environment that I've now really come to love and appreciate allowed me to push those immaturities, I guess,
Sure.
that we're molding into hopefully some maturity, and not have fatal consequences.
Sure. I mean, if you came home at night, we were happy because we allowed you to go down to Westheimer, and we knew there was some street racing going on, but we also knew there were shenanigans going on before you got there and after you got there.
But I think it was all in good nature. Like it was
Sure.
all like, or at least I hope.
Well, there has to
in
be a
hindsight.
trust that you're not going to do something to kill yourself.
So,
And I mean that seriously.
Yeah.
As a parent, and every parent watching this will say.
so how was that then for you to know that you had this complicated
Oh, heck.
situation of a kid that was obviously and innately very independent,
Well,
but also you didn't want him to see him kill themselves,
you know
or
what?
like,
When we talk about the dirt bike and the dirt bike track, I was opposed to it.
you've been opposed to a lot of things.
I'm the conservative. And what's amazing is your mother, who's the nurse and supposed to be the level-headed one, bought you the dang dirt bike.
Yeah.
And you know what? She's the adventurer in you. I'm
Right.
not. I'm the creative in you, but I'm not the adventurer in any form or fashion. I see a snow-covered mountain and go, where's the hot tub? You see the snow-covered mountain, your mother sees the snow-covered mountain and goes, dang, I'd like to snowboard down that sucker. I'd like to
Right.
take skis and go down and just see what it's like.
So then you're pretty much defining that for you, as I was growing up, it was probably exponentially harder.
Oh, sure. Growing up,
Than for Mom.
you and I growing up, you and I were a lot alike, but in that alikeness, we were different. Again, you were bullheaded, man. You were determined, difficult to
Yeah, we were not close whenever I was growing up.
Oh no, because like I said, the thing is that you just knew that you wanted to do something and be damned anybody else's opinion. Like I said, and I was the one that oftentimes like, man, I don't know if that's a good idea. And we had one altercation, one physical altercation where you actually wanted to go somewhere. You were in high school and you said, I'm going. And I think we wrestled a little bit on the floor and da-da-da-da-da. And I looked at you and I said, listen, Jordan, you're bigger than I am, and you were. You're stronger than I am, and you were. But my determination to keep you safe is greater than your strength and greater than your size. And I'm determined to keep you here for this very reason. And you weren't happy about it. And I wasn't happy about it. There were a lot of screaming. But you know what? That's one time. And all the other times it's been communication and verbalization. And I'm thankful for that. We weren't close as you say we weren't close. We were absolutely.
We weren't close.
Yeah,
but
we were in two different places.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're a teenager, man. You wanted to do what you wanted to do, and guess what? You had a guy in me who was saying, I don't think it's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, you're going to be a parent one day, and you're going to have to put your foot down one day, and you're
Sure.
going to go, that's no fun. I mean, didn't want you happy. Again, I just wanted you alive. But you know what? You went off to college. You did your thing. Like I said, I was proud of all the things you did growing up.
That was one thing that was always very apparent, was that there was 110% support
Oh, no doubt.
for whatever I
I
decided to set my sights
I
on.
traveled stupid places to watch you play baseball
Yeah.
and football. And
I think more of the bands and the
Yeah,
shitty dive bars would be the worst.
and that's interesting. I want to talk about that. You know what? You learned to play drums, which is not easy. You learned to play a drum kit so that you could play it in a Texas country band. I grew up playing on a drum kit, so I kind of knew a little bit. And I remember watching you play, and I'm like, damn, I know what I'm doing. And this kid who has no clue is flat out killing it.
Mm.
And flat out killing it on the drums. I mean, just killing it.
In a room full of 4 people.
Well, okay, I know you played some dive bars that were really kind of seedy, but I remember it's just like it was, again, all my job was
So
to
then
do.
what was the
thing is if that's what you wanted to do, I could help you. I could help market the band that you were in.
Mhm.
I can make sure you're okay before and after the gigs. I mean, I still remember one of the best times we probably ever had when you all opened up for Eli Young Band over at Great Brothers in Houston, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
What a group! And you know what?
Yeah.
And to this day, I remember that Eli Young Band's eating dinner, and you guys weren't. You were just the opening act, right?
Yeah,
I mean, we were nothing.
Yeah.
But they made sure that y'all had dinner with them.
Absolutely.
Mike, Eli, and those guys said, "Hey, this band is going to have dinner with us," and y'all sat down at the table and had dinner with them.
Yeah.
Y'all played y'all set. You went about your way, and then y'all were having a good time out with the crowd. I mean, it's probably, it's packed, man. It's Eli Young Band at a little, 300-person venue.
Mm-hmm.
And, people were buying you drinks, but I was driving you home. So, I know at 18 or 19, whatever you were at that time, maybe. And don't. It
was always 21.
Always 21. And like I said, and I remember Mike Eli looks down at you and goes, "Hey, I'd like to shout out to Jordan and Matt and I think Kevin was playing at the time. It's like
Kevin.
They're aces over eights, I think is what we were calling yourself at that time." He goes, "What a great group of guys. Thank you very much." And but I remember Mike Eli pointing at you and go, "Hey, Jordan, Jordan, Ben, thank y'all. Y'all did a great job."
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I was like, okay, all those crappy nights at all those other crappy places.
Like that was that one moment there.
I remember you playing a gig up close to College Station, and your drum pedal broke in the middle of the show, and we were like, okay, we don't have an answer for this one.
Yeah,
we don't have an answer for this. But always,
acoustic it is.
Exactly. So I mean, I was like, okay, so here's what I would do if I'm a drummer. I use this right hand on the big deep tom to play your bass drum part. Right. That's all you can do at this point. That's all you can do. We don't have an answer because we don't have a bass drum pedal that works. Mm-hmm. And so I mean, those are still interesting and fun times. And as a dad, there weren't a whole hell of a lot of groupies, but there were some nights that there were a bunch of girls hanging out with y'all, and I thought, wow, to be 18, 19 years old.
It was very unique.
And
it was incredibly unique.
And to have that situation is like, okay, I mean, I wouldn't say it's like a dad's dream, but it's every cool drummer's dream, musician's dream. Go, okay, this is kind of cool at this point.
Yeah.
So
when was the hardest part with me?
Oh, I think your senior year of high school was difficult. You were going through some stuff with a young lady that made it difficult for you to be in the moment. In the moment. You weren't happy.
But I've noticed that is that a hereditary? Because even nowadays, if I have like a relationship problem, for whatever reason, it's difficult.
I think it's difficult.
It's all consuming.
It's difficult for everybody. It's difficult for everybody, and you
maybe, but for me though, I'm very good at compartmentalizing.
Yeah.
Like I guess that's the weird thing that I've noticed. I guess over the years is that I can pretty much compartmentalize anything.
But that. Yeah, and like I said,
which is strange to me.
Yeah, because
that's that one thing.
Because I remember you were having relationship struggles when we went on our church mission trip to Colorado Springs your senior year, and I contemplated at least leaving your ass in Colorado Springs because you were difficult to deal with. You were a bitter person because of that relationship issue. But I think your senior year, you were a bitter person. I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. Okay, so this, the come clean thing. You were a junior in high school, and football coaches, they wanted you in the 200s, 240s. I think you got up to 235, maybe 240.
Yeah, I got real fat.
You got heavy, right?
Yeah.
And why? Because
a lot of people don't know
that part. Yeah, exactly. So you got about 230, 245, whatever you got to. Yeah. You have to be. And at the end of your junior year, I think it was tennis season. You said, you know what? I'm going to start taking care of myself. I'm going to start being healthier. I'm going to eat healthier. And man, I tell you what, the weight fell off of you that summer. You came back from your senior year, and you probably went 195, and you were in really good shape. And of course, the football coach was like, okay, what the hell happened to our offensive, defensive lineman? Yeah. He melted himself into a freaking running back. And we still got to put him on the line.
And I wasn't fast.
And you wasn't fat, you were thin. But what also changed was the dynamic of you and the perception of you to people in your school. Yeah. Not just your grade, in the entire school.
Yeah. People were like asking me if I was like healthy, like if I was okay. Like
Yeah. What
it was
happened?
Like people
Yeah.
got concerned. Like it was very negatively perceived.
Sure.
I remember
And-
that
and-
the most. It was
and-
a very
and-
negatively perceived transition
and
for
I
something that I genuinely was trying to do in a positive
way. And imagine, okay, because you go through these 11 years of school and there's a pecking order. Okay, this person's on top, this person's Mr. Handsome, this person Miss Football, Miss Cheerleader, blah, blah, blah. You have all that stuff. And here comes Jordan Orsak back for his senior year, and he's 195. He's ripped. I mean, in the span of, well, you were close to it. I mean, you're not where you're at now, but comparable to from 235 down to 195. When you drop 40 pounds in freaking 4 months and you come back to school,
it's
a metamorphosis.
It was a big difference.
And all of a sudden, you became Mr. Popular, Mr.
Well,
okay, I'm going to say this from a father's perspective.
Not either, but
okay, you became Mr. Handsome to the junior girls, the sophomore girls, the freshman girls. Your girl grade in your class, I don't know, they may have thought you were butt-ass ugly. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't care. But I vaguely
reality.
remember a freshman girl's birthday party, and her birthday wish was for you to show up and come to her party for 5 minutes.
I paid her for that.
You probably did, but you know what?
No.
Did you show up?
Yes, I did.
You showed up for 5 minutes and visited with her friends, and I heard from her mother how happy she was that her 6 friends and her got to hang out with Jordan for 5 to 10 minutes on her birthday. And it wasn't a thing, but that's what I'm saying.
But that was a big...
But reverse a year...
So there was positives out of it.
But a year before that, hell, you were on no one's radar. I mean, seriously.
Well, and
it's a metamorphosis. I think
that was also
it changed you for life, Jordan. That changed you for life.
It did. No, it definitely did.
For life.
That year, and I think that's why I have such a negative connotation with that part of my life, is because I think for the first 2 years, freshman and sophomore year, I was still trying to figure out what the hell I was,
sure.
what I wanted, everyone does.
Yeah,
right?
I think that's synonymous. Yeah, I think that's...
but then in my junior year, I think I decided that was a direction I wanted, that I'm going to grab this life.
Sure.
By the bootstraps, and I'm going to do some things.
Yeah,
I guess I got to the point where I realized I have some control. Like I can control some shit myself.
Absolutely.
And I liked that a lot.
And you liked the control of that. But the problem was you didn't. You're right. As you were younger, you didn't feel like you could grasp it.
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
I mean, you know.
But through that transition, I just remember being so unpleasant. Like I was so unhappy.
I think it was
junior and senior year.
There was, again, I think I liken that. I think that junior senior year was a lot of relationships, and that's nature of that. When you're with someone, you're dating someone, you're going to take on a personality or persona that you perceive they want you to be. Mm-hmm. Okay, how they want you to act, how they want you to be, what you want to look like. I mean, again, a freshman sophomore boy could give a flying flip about brushing his teeth or how he smells until he starts dating a girl. Now all of a sudden it's like, God dang, I got to brush my teeth. I got to put on some cologne. I got to take a shower. Because guess what? I don't want to be repulsive to someone I like.
Right.
And you were in that situation, and your maturity came in that because now all of a sudden it became a priority.
Well, and that was another thing too, is I think at that moment in time in my life, that maturity, and I even remember that transition in like maybe even late into my sophomore year, where all of a sudden it was just like a light bulb came on.
Sure.
And I innately felt differently about how I could portray myself or be who I was.
Yeah.
And was it
a confidence?
It was a confidence and a calm in just who I was.
Right.
Even though there were many reasons to not want to be that person, there was a lot of exterior influences that within the area that we lived in, that whether it was people or psychology and there were influences to try and conform a little differently. I remember it being a very overwhelming experience where I just knew innately how I wanted to act. Sure. How I wanted to communicate and who I wanted to be.
And you were taking ownership of it.
Yes. But it was miserable. It was not fun. Because it was contrary to a lot of the ways a lot of people I surrounded myself with thought, acted, felt.
Sure.
Wanted to be.
Absolutely. And guess what?
And it was weird because there was nothing to relate to through that process. No one was talking about it.
Sure.
No one
You're a
can make
teenager,
sense
like I
of
said,
it.
and they expect the one day you're this, next day you're this.
Right.
It's just but you found your way, Jordan. And that's kind of like when you went to college, okay? You did WCJC for a year. Guess what? You became student body president for a year. I know, yeah, you.
No.
And you laugh at it, okay? As a parent, okay, I've never been student body president.
Well,
congratulations. I know it wasn't much, but or you didn't look at it as much, but okay, it was cool.
It was really more of a bet.
Okay, and congratulations, you won it. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Okay, then you go up to Blend. Okay, you spend some time there, and you can't decide whether you want to go to A&M or you end up going to Texas.
What did you think I was going to do?
I thought you were going to go into business personally in some form or fashion. I don't know what kind of business.
Well, I kind of did.
Again, agreed. I mean, you were always all over the board. But again, back to my comment earlier, never worried about your ability to make money. Mm-hmm. I knew you would find a method by which to make money, if that meant whatever it takes.
And that's the weird part is like for me, as I've gotten older, that part has not been the problem.
No?
That's very easy for me.
Awesome. Because some people it's not.
But
your parents may not feel the same way.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
But I think that y'all are innately way happier than I am.
The pursuit is different. Remember, pursuit of money, if that's your pursuit, I don't fault you for that. And I know that's part of what you're chasing. You like the aspect. And we're going
I like the challenge. It's not the...
exactly. You like the game.
Yeah.
Okay. Guess what? I grew up simpler. And your mother and I grew up simpler. And we got married when we were 18. So our priority on money is it's a means to an end by which to take care of bills, take care of you and your sister Kara, take care of buying a house, take care of doing those things. Mm-hmm. The thought of investing was just foreign, absolute foreign, because investing means you had a surplus to do something with. And at that point in time, as young parents, you're grinding through the month, making sure you can make it that month.
Sure.
That's it. So when you graduated Texas State, you started working at Halliburton, and all of a sudden, okay, I tell this story to my friends all the time. You call me a month and a half after working at Halliburton. Now you're working like exhausting hours, like 100 hours a week, 90 hours a week. And I'm like, good gosh, man, how are you doing that? And you call me and you go like, Dad, what am I going to do with this money I'm making? I mean, I'm making money hand over fist, hourly rates, just coming in. And I said, pay off all your debt. In a month and a half of working at Halliburton, you paid off all your college debt. Okay? Then all of a sudden, the money you were making, because you had no time off. Mm-hmm. You maybe had a day off here and there. You couldn't spend the money you were making.
Yes.
You asked me, Dad, what should I invest in? And my response is, I have no clue, Jordan. I've got a 401k, but I don't know what to invest in. I can't help you. You came to me wanting to buy the property in San Marcos River Ranch. What did I say?
Don't do it. That's
don't
stupid.
Do it. Okay? You're smarter than I am, Jordan. You bought that property because it's an investment.
But I don't care about being, I guess this is my point though, is as I've gotten older, making money is not hard.
But Jordan.
But finding a level of happiness has actually been
a struggle.
And I don't know if it's because of the joy of the challenge, and then that leads to a full loop of
the question
you're always challenged, and there's never enough, and there's that psychology.
So the question is, Jordan, I guess in that realm of what is enough?
But it's not, again, that to me it doesn't. That's not the way I think. Like it's not a. I'm not putting my happiness in a bucket of success. That's not where really. I think in large parts of my life I may have. I think a lot of, especially if I'm struggling with relationships, I think I will latch on to success in other ways to try and bolster and level off that.
Sure. I mean that's life, Jordan. You're trying to find a victory.
But it's not about enough though. Like I know now for sure now at 33, and maybe I didn't know this last year, but I definitely know this year is like there's there's not a thing that I'm longing for. There's not something I'm trying to accomplish or achieve anymore. I don't care
Right,
about enough.
right.
Like enough is not the goal.
Right.
I'm on a different path now.
Well, I hope so, because I mean, we hope for you that you find Miss Right, whoever Miss Right may be, right?
Sure.
And if that doesn't ever come, does that diminish who you are and what you're about?
Well, but I think also too, and maybe this was never the intent, but like you and Mom getting married at 18 was pressure unintentionally on my end.
Well, I
because you guys are always so happy.
Yeah. Maybe, Jordan,
that was something that
but Jordan, it isn't.
I've always wanted.
But it's not always rainbows. I mean,
I'm not saying it
no,
is.
it's not,
I'm just
but
saying like you can't
there,
argue with me and say that
no,
it's not
but there's
always pretty for the most part.
Again,
really happy.
Again, because you choose that. You choose that path. There are Y's in the road, and you choose the path. The path is together. And the path may be a struggle together, but it's together. And at the end of this path, if it's a dead end that we took this Y to, okay, we're at the dead end together. Now we make another way to figure it out. So just because we chose that path, it's not.
Would you have chosen it any differently?
It's your. Oh no, I wouldn't.
Right.
No, I wouldn't. But Jordan, because that's looking in the rear view mirror and going, what would what would I change? You know what? There are decisions you'd like to change, but the overall you don't. I mean, I met your mother when we started dating when we were freshmen, broke up, and started dating again back when we were sophomores. The middle of Christmas of our sophomore year. And we dated all through high school. So when I asked her to marry her, the first question out of everybody's mouth is she pregnant? Like, no, she's not pregnant. We just want to get married. You want to get married and go to college. Let me get this straight. You think this is a good idea. Okay? My family, I'm the last of 5 kids of my siblings and family, all opposed, absolutely opposed. Shirley, your mom, only child, her parents were supportive, which makes absolutely no sense. Her parents should have been going like, you need to go to college, you need to find your path, all this kind of stuff. And my family should be latch onto it as fast as you can because she's a good girl. Her family's they've got some land, they got but it's a path that we chose. I didn't for everyone.
So how do you always keep such an elevated level of happiness all the time? What do you think your secret is?
Jordan, I've been blessed beyond my means.
So is it every day you're just waking up and
Are you kidding? Are you kidding?
Appreciative.
Absolutely.
Do you remind yourself?
Jordan, I don't. I don't have to remind myself that I've been given things. I mean, I've gone places and I've seen things, and you've been a part of a lot of things. I mean, a year ago, we're in a suite at the Houston Astros watching the Astros beat the New York Yankees to go to the World Series.
Met Dave Chappelle.
You and I are in a suite. How lucky are we?
Oh, absolutely. No, and I think that's what frustrates me and that's why I keep going back to this question, is because I know how lucky I am.
You've been taken and you've seen things. You've been behind the curtain. You've done things that most people never have the opportunity to do. Again, we didn't grow up rich. We grew up fine. We had food on the table. We were fine. Your mom worked hard as a nurse, and I did what I could do. When I did it. But we gave you opportunities to see things that other people didn't get to see.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, I know, and I'm like, and that's like, I'm super thankful for that.
And
like, it made me to who I am.
Let me tell you what, but you know what? You also reciprocate to our family. Okay? You brought Kara and Emerson out to LA, 2 or 3 years ago to show Kara where you were in LA. You know what, son? I never wanted to go to LA a day in my life. Not once. You moved out there, and out of obligation, I went to LA. You showed me around LA. I like LA. I can come out and visit with you now, and you know what? There's such a pride in me coming out to get to share the experiences and go to places. And I'll tell this story. Last time I was out on a Sunday night, you have a group of friends that play volleyball, and you know what? You took me with you to play. I mean, I don't know what motivated you to take, because again, they're 30-something-year-olds, and all you need is a 55-year-old dad hanging around. But again, I appreciate the fact that you thought enough of me to put me in that situation, that to allow me to be where you are and what you do. And then we went to the gentleman's name is it
Derek.
Derek? Went to Derek's house. We had dinner that night. We had drinks. We visited with, and we got to connect with people. And that's, again, in your world in LA, everyone I talk to is amazing. I live in East Menard, Texas. A good day for me.
But everyone in LA tries to look like they're
again, and they may.
That's a part of
but
it.
you
That's
know
like
what?
a part of the process.
But it's a story. Everyone has a story why they're there and what they're doing.
Sure.
In East Menard, Texas, I can go to Dairy Queen every single day, and the story doesn't change.
But
It's real.
by contrast, in East Menard, Texas, people are really genuine.
They're real.
And really themselves.
Real.
And for the most part, pretty damn happy.
Again, because they've chosen the simpler path. It doesn't
so
make
then
it.
is the path, and Reese and I argue about this all the time. We've actually been
Reese
thinking
is
a
a
lot
smart
about
one in
this.
this discussion right now.
No,
He's
but we
behind the
do.
camera.
We enjoy doing this. Like we really enjoy doing
sure.
this, and we need to do this.
Sure.
We should have actually done. I wish we should have done you today. No.
Right. Yeah.
But no, one thing that we've been really trying to figure out is as we've been exposed, as we've both been kind of going on our own life path and enlightening ourselves with different cities and different people, and then you meet, and it's funny too, as you're growing your network of people, you'll start to see similarities. And like I'll run into a guy in LA somewhere, and we'll hit it off really well and have a great night, have a bunch of conversations, and then all of a sudden I'm in New York or something a few weeks later, and I meet a guy that kind of looks like him but is identical in his personality. I'm like, shit, I just met you. Like you're like,
Okay.
you're so similar. And so like I think people have some similar I think there's similar tendencies all across the world. There's compartmentalization of personalities and habits and traits, no matter where you've grown up. I think that there's just some categorizing you can do based on personalities and the way people act. But the one thing that we've been most kind of confused about is as we go on this path and educate ourselves with a more diverse network and a more diverse understanding of the world, the struggle of feeling more burdened because of that enlightenment becomes more prevalent. So it's like a fish in a fishbowl. Like we really make this analogy.
Wow.
It's like, does the fish in the fishbowl live a happier life than the deer that can roam free, or than the moose that roams free
Jordan,
and has to like who?
Yeah, you mentioned two people that you met, one in LA, one in New York, and they had very similar personalities. They're very similar people. They have very similar goals, but they're all stories are individual, and I think that's what you need to capture in what you're doing, is everybody's story is different. They may be on the same wire, trying to climb the same ladder, but their story to getting to that ladder is what makes them
entirely different. Sure.
Yeah, so and it's
sure.
and that's
so then is
your
it
story.
so then is it like back to the full circle of like where is the happier path?
Jordan,
is it
there is no everybody's path is different. Then there is no set journey that says, okay, happiness is I go here, take a right, then I go the next part and take a left.
Of course not.
There's not that.
Mm-mm.
And so your journey to Los Angeles started with the relationship that led you there.
Yeah.
That relationship no longer exists,
Mm-hmm.
but your journey in LA still does.
Absolutely.
Did it change your journey? Yes. It changed your trajectory, because you told me, Jordan Orsak, you said, listen, I can be great things in Austin or do incredible things in San Antonio or Houston or Dallas. But there's something about LA, the energy, the possibilities,
Mm-hmm.
the opportunities are so much more epic.
No, yeah, I like being measured
By the best.
by an elevated level.
Sure.
Like I think Austin is like I will live
Love
there. I
Austin.
will
Austin,
probably
you
move
love
back,
Austin,
and
right?
yeah. But no, I think there's a challenge of being in the jungle, so to speak.
Sure.
That pushes you. But then there's, again, back to that like happiness slider. There's also a lot of reasons not to do that, because I always I always think back and try to be very reflective on the things that I do, despite me always seeming to just be full steam ahead and not really thinking and processing much. But I try and reflect on what if I had gone down a different path? Would I be
Jordan,
more in tune with who I am? Would I be less stressed? Would I be
sure you would
less?
Be. You know, I mean, if you took a 9-to-5 job or an 8-to-5
I don't know
job,
if I could do that.
it'd rip your heart out and it'd rip your soul and your creativity.
Yeah.
Okay, we're sitting here in this environment because why? I'm creative.
Mm-hmm.
And someone said, hey, I have this company. Chris Shop says, hey, I have this company and I have a marketing position that doesn't even exist yet. But I want it to exist, and I want you to take it, and I want you to run with it, and I want you to create whatever you can to do what? To serve this company.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. It's a blank palette. You can paint what you want on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so every day I get to paint. I get to paint that palette and make it whatever the heck I want to make it. Look at this. Look at this. It's your palette.
Yeah.
You're painting whatever you want using the colors you want to put on it. And so it has your stamp. It's your fingerprint, man. It's yours.
No,
it's your idea.
and it's helped a lot. Like I love doing this.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you love doing this. Okay, so there's joy in this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now I in life there's a struggle. Okay, now did you forego something that do you feel like you forego or you left something or do you think TMT was your life?
No, I loved the people within the all the companies that I've ever worked for.
Sure.
That was the one thing that I loved the most about any of my past jobs. It was literally the people. It wasn't the job. It was the people
right.
that I surrounded myself with.
The relationships, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. So no, I don't feel like if I would have continued down those paths that I would be happier. I'm very thankful for having
the path
the path that has led me here. I think it's just what I'm really trying to mean is I still find myself trying to be more okay with where I've found myself, because in some respects it wasn't ever a part of the plan. It was just kind of how life evolved. And now trying to make sure whether or not that is me or that's not me. And whether or not.
See, I think it is your fingerprint, Jordan. Everything you do is your fingerprint. And again, if Miss Wright doesn't walk into your life this year, next year, the year after, maybe she walks in later in. Maybe this path of your film production company, maybe that leads to something that leads you to something that leads you to something else. Mm-hmm. You're on Jordan, you're doing what you want to do, when you want to do it.
Yeah.
You know how many people?
No,
you know how many people in life would kill to have that? To kill to live the life. I always hear people tell me, Roland, I wish I had your job. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I've ever said to someone else, wow, I wish I had your job.
Yeah.
I'm real happy doing what I do. I mean, I'm fortunate. Mm-hmm. I grew up in Ganado, Texas. I went to Southwest Texas State University, got a degree in broadcast journalism. Found my way through life to find this job that I thoroughly enjoy in a place I thoroughly. And you talk about people. I mean, I love working with the people I work with.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah,
just like you. And I think that's innate in you. It's innate in me, and I think that's part of your upbringing, because it is about the people. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's about taking that job at Halliburton and making contacts that elevate your life to the point to where you are. To you know what? Halliburton was a springboard to this.
For the next step. Everything's happened for a reason, for sure.
You know what? And like I said, I want to talk a little bit, because this needs to be on tape. You know, you're doing investments now, and you're investing money. You're investing money for me and your mom right now, for your grandmother whose husband just died a month ago. Mm-hmm. You're investing in for how many friends do you
lot.
have?
A lot. But I enjoy
Because guess what? Why do you enjoy that?
because I enjoy enlightening people and connecting with people through something that they don't understand and explaining to them how easy it could be to help and better their lives.
Guess what? Yes, you get to take them on a ride because of something you know, the things you've learned, to take them on a ride that they couldn't go on without you. Okay? They could try to. They don't have the confidence to make that decision. Your mother and I included. We don't have the confidence to go, okay, here's some money. I'm going to go invest in blah, blah, blah. But I have the confidence that if I give you that you are going to do the best you can with it. Okay? Reese, do you help him?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Marcel?
Yeah.
Were you working with your aunt this tonight, trying to help her out a little bit with her? So because of your knowledge in this area, you want to take people on that ride. And that gift you've been given to see situations and maybe get a little benefit from it for yourself. But guess what? I can take people on the train with me.
Sure.
Because you know what? In you winning doesn't mean I have to lose. This ain't a ball game where somebody wins and somebody loses.
No.
This is a game that if you win, guess what? I can win. And Reese can win. Marcel can win. Your Aunt Gaitha can win. Your grandmother can win.
Yeah.
Wow, wouldn't you want to take everybody on that ride?
Yeah, that's the fun part.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a fun part. We talk about that probably 2 or 3 times a week. And I'll question what you're involved in. You'll go, Dad, you pretend like you know what's going on when you really don't. And I know I really don't because you do. So I grew up in a family, and so I like it. My brother Mike, Pat, and Ronnie, sports fanatics.
Yeah.
So to have a conversation with them as a young boy, as a teenager, whatever, you better know your shit when it comes to sports. If you got an opinion, you better know your shit. I'm just saying you better, right? Because they'll blow you up.
Yeah.
Listen, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I wish I were more like you. And I thought, okay, I need to probably find out about this stock market stuff and these stock things and what I could spend some money on. But back in the day, there was not a lot of money to be invested anyway for me and your mother. And now we have a little bit. We can throw a little bit your way to let you dabble in it. And you know what? And we're appreciative of that fact.
No, it's been a lot of fun. It's been fun, and we're just starting, and it'll be more fun as we keep going.
So it's interesting you talk about, I asked you what's enough is enough. You know, I watch my account on a daily basis and I watch it go up and I'm like, oh wow, you know, I'm getting rich, I'm not getting rich. But it's almost the joy that you get to do this and you get to pick this.
Well, I mean, it lets us even talk more on the phone and all this stuff. Yeah, I mean, and that's it. Like
But you know what? It's a part of that ride, okay? So you brought your sister into Film Pro, okay? Who thought that was a bad idea? I did, okay? And it, you know, whatever happens in the future, I don't know. But you know what? It's part of you helping your sister in some capacity with your company and giving her a responsibility, allowing her to stay home with her 3 children. And so, you know, I mean, whatever happens and that happens, and so be it. And you know, and one day, either you're going to say, Kara, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to move on and I'm going to do this. Or she's going to say, Jordan, you know what? I want to go back into the classroom. I want to be a school teacher again because it's in the best interest of my family.
Yeah.
And I you know what? The most important thing to me is that you and her are still brother and sister, period, end all, be all. That's it. Because y'all were tight when y'all were little. To this day, one of the most prideful things in my entire life was homecoming year, your senior year, when your sister was the homecoming Duchess for the junior class. They had a pep rally. And you had a choice to pick whatever Duchess you wanted to pick for some stupid game at the pep rally, and you picked your sister. And it involved the crowd or the stands voting on who won whatever.
I don't even remember this.
You don't. And you know what? You made a fool of yourself, and you were goofy, but you made sure that your sister won that whatever little skit was going on at the pep rally. You made sure she won. You made sure your sister got to be in the spotlight that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that was special to me as a father, that my two kids,
Sure.
you being the oldest, her being the younger by a year, that it mattered to you that she had success.
Yeah.
Because you're two different personalities.
Yes.
Oh, she's a caregiver. She, like I said, we talk about she's huggy. She loves everyone and everything. And she loves puppy dogs and babies and unicorns. And I mean, she's just a different personality to you.
Mm-hmm.
And you are analytical, which I never would have thought you would have become.
Well, that's what's weird though, but I wasn't though. And I think that's another thing that I've been really thinking a lot about over the last year as I've been kind of going down this self-reflective, trying to understand all the bullshit better, is how that transition even happened, because I wasn't always very analytical. I was very, very lighthearted. And I think I used to be very goofy too. And I'm way less now, if any.
Well, in your youth, you may have been silly, some, but who isn't? I perceive myself as being way more silly than you.
Yeah, me too.
Way more.
Me too.
But
I feel like I used to be that way when I was younger.
Again,
and then,
but you chose the path. But again, like I said, when you walk into a room, and it's a father's pride, when you walk in the room, people look at you and go, "Who the hell is that?" I walk into a room, I better be funny, I better be articulate, I better be interesting, I better bring the attention to me, because that's what I need to do to own that room. You don't have to do that. You don't have to own that room. You can sit in a room and you can probably own the room a lot better than I can. It's just, but I grew up, I mentioned Ganado Cafe. I grew up in an adult environment. I learned to speak as an adult, to be an adult at a very young age. And so communication's always been important. And that's why you and your sister communicate incredibly well, because we made that a priority.
Yeah.
And you communicate well. You may not like what you say sometimes. People may not be happy with what you're saying, but you communicate it.
Mm-hmm.
So your communication skills were never, ever a negative.
They weren't, no.
No. The person on the other end of the comments may not like what you were saying, but you said them articulately and you got your point across.
Yeah. That's true.
And so that was our gift to you and your sister, was we expected you to communicate, period.
Right.
And doing this is just a form of that. This is an offshoot of that.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. And I don't even know what the heck this is. Like I don't really know what I'm doing or what the point of it is. Like it really is for me. Like I
Jordan,
I like to go back and rewatch and understand.
If I died tomorrow, I lived a great life. If I died tomorrow, you're gonna watch this and go, I had a visit with my dad.
Yeah.
We used to happen to do it with 1, 2, 3 cameras and 3 lights.
And a whole bunch of lights.
And stuff that took you 3 to 4 hours to set up, and some microphones.
Yeah.
But you have it. You have some things, because I never hide anything from you. If I don't like something you're doing, I would say it. I would probably say it to be lovingly. I never try to devastate you.
No.
I don't think I've ever said anything. I hope I never say anything that devastated you.
Was there anything that you wish I would have done differently?
When we were paying for your college and you were water skiing your way through the Texas State University for the last 1.5, 2 years, and your mom and dad were struggling to keep you in college at that point in time. Your sister was in college. So we had 2 kids in college. And so we were living in 3 households. And I'm like, dang it. Can't he just take college as his job and make the best grades he can? I always joked with your mom. I was like, you'd spend 3 hours trying to find somebody to help you do the work rather than just spending an hour doing it.
That is the most honest thing you've said all night.
It's no doubt. I mean, it's like, I'm dead serious. If I can find 2 co-eds to help me with this project, and it may take me 3 hours to find those 2 co-eds, but I'll find them, and when they do, they're going to do the work.
They're going to do a better job than me.
They're going to do the work for me, and then, oh, by the way, we're going to get a B. Okay.
Yeah.
Literally, when you graduated, it was like a celebration because, I mean, it's dead serious. I mean, I never thought you went to class. Hell, I'm not for sure you know where the library was on campus.
Yeah. Okay.
Because literally, you were water skiing on Texas State's water ski team every weekend. You were at the lake all the time, and that's all I heard about.
Yeah.
Like I said, I mean, your mom were like trying to make a go of it with
But
2 kids in
I
college.
paid off my college
So
debt in
yeah,
a month and a half.
month and a half. Hell, had I known that, I would have saddled you with more debt. Dang it.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
mistake. I should
Interesting.
have given you more debt.
Huh.
No,
So, okay. So all that being said,
but yeah. I mean, I'm not
What-
saying I didn't live vicariously through you water skiing. Okay.
Sure.
I wanted to water ski.
did I know the answer to this question, but I want to ask it
Ask
anyway. Did we turn out the way that y'all wanted us to?
You know, here's what I'll say. I never had a preconceived path for you or Kara.
No, and y'all let us
No,
do
no,
like if we wanted
no,
to
no.
play, if we wanted to play tennis, we could play tennis. If we
Yeah,
decided
yeah.
the next day we
Okay,
wanted to go in the swim team, we could do swim.
Here's my charge to you. Okay? Where Kara is ahead of you, I think is in the spirituality, religion, you know, with church going, that kind of thing,
Mhm.
their relationship with God. I don't ask you what your relationship is with God. Maybe I should ask that question because as a parent,
Ask it.
as a parent, as a Christian,
I'll talk about it right now.
okay, what is your relationship with God?
Complex.
Okay, tell me why.
Because there are such amazing things I feel that come out of structured religion for the masses. I think that as far as a general population, it goes back to the rules and constructs of the way things are written. I think that the Bible is an incredible tool to give a large part of society, the Bible, the Quran, like it doesn't matter what the ledger is. They're wonderful tools to give us a blueprint of how to be a respectful person in this world to others and ourselves. What I dislike about structured religion is that it always seems to cause more conflict than good in some respects.
Okay, so analyze your parents as we brought you up in the church.
Oh, I'm so thankful for it. And I still consider myself a Christian. I just know for me, I would rather develop my own personal relationship with whatever higher power I feel is a part of my journey. And that process to me isn't showing up on a Sunday and pretending like I'm doing something in church. To me, that feels more disconnected. To me, if I were showing up to church every Sunday and smiling and shaking hands and kissing babies, I personally would feel less connected to that higher power.
Okay.
That doesn't help me feel connected. Maybe if I played in a band, but even that, even singing songs, reading Bible verses, none of that did a damn thing for me. It felt structured because because that's the structure.
Well,
and to me,
could
relationship doesn't matter.
Could you be a Christian? Can you be a Christian and not attend church?
That's my problem with it.
Okay.
That's you're proving my point, which is why I have such a struggle with structured religion. Based on that right alone, you're telling me that instead of me having the most passionate, specific, intimate connection with whatever higher power is above me, it's better to go to church every Sunday or to read some paperwork that was written thousands of years ago and then passed down by multiple different languages and multiple different people that maybe aren't credible or maybe are. And then I respect that for the masses, it is such an impactful and wonderful thing as a guideline to be a good contributor to our society as a person, and it makes you more whole. But for me, I read between those lines. And I would much rather focus my minimal bandwidth that's even left into having a more personal connection with whatever the hell that higher power is.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Do you say prayers? Do you pray?
In my own way. I meditate and I think deeply about things. I may not open that conversation with dear God or dear Allah or good morning, Jesus.
Okay.
But the intent is still angled and still the scopes are still in that direction. That's no different than the conversation that I imagine than what a person would do during prayer.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Interesting. I in my small scope, small view, I believe that in your search, we've talked about a lot of things in your search and paths and journeys and all that kind of stuff. I think at some point in time, if you come to that realization that you're saying to yourself, I am a Christian, I think if you gave into that control of, guess what? I'm not in control. I'm not in control. Roland Orsak's not in control. I mean, I get up in the morning and I come to work. Mm-hmm. But the fact is this world. And I just say, listen, things are as my God intended them to be. Mm-hmm. And I pray every night or every day for you, for your sister, for your mother, for countless other people. I find strength and comfort in that. And it's okay that you don't. But as a parent,
I'm not saying that I don't. Again, it goes back to I do deeply think about things.
Okay.
And I do believe that there is an afterlife and a higher power and a general sense of positivity. Okay. That's a foundation and a baseline for us all. And all to aspire to be better. Just for me, the construct of religion has more holes than me just developing my own personal relationship with that entity. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And I think that was I came to that conclusion over a very long period of time. It wasn't this didn't happen last week. This didn't happen 6 years ago. It's been an evolution of growing up in a very structured Christian environment, not pressuredly structured, not like I never felt like I had to believe a certain way or you were kicked out of the house. Yeah, or like I guess I don't know, like you and Mom, even though y'all were like involved in the church and y'all weren't ever the extremists. Like I have I can't palate the extreme side of Christianity. The Bible is the word and this is just the word and it works for people and I'm thankful and I'm not and maybe it is. I'm not trying to downplay it at all. It just for me I can't palate that something that has been passed down over such a long period of time and has been rewritten and retranscribed and retranslated is something that I have to live by. Okay. I think that I should live by Jordan's rules. No. But at the same time, maybe. I think it's important to be in tune with who you are and what your moral compass is. Okay. I think it's important to have morals and societal structure, but from a religious perspective, to me, there just seemed like there were more holes than answers. That as I went farther down the religious path of trying to understand it more, I only became more confused, not less. Well, I only became more uncomfortable. Sure. I felt more alone. Well, the problem is actually the problem with someone like you, Jordan, is, and I'm not saying the problem is with someone like you, Jordan. No, but it's a struggle. The problem is that the answers aren't
always obvious, and the answers aren't always there, and that's that struggle of there is
Okay.
no right. There's just life, and this, the Bible's a guide. It's a roadmap, and follow it,
Hmm.
and it served me well, and served me well.
Yeah.
So
And
okay,
me too. But like, and that's the struggle. It's like it's for such a large part of my life, it was foundation.
Mhm.
But just as I've gone on my own journey of trying to understand it, just for me, it felt more confusing.
Okay.
And maybe someday that'll change. The
Again,
lack of
I agree.
interest in direction is not changed. Like
Right.
I try to live my life in all the teachings
Right.
of that book. That has not changed.
Right. Again,
It's
you
more
know,
of,
you were brought up right, no right from wrong. There's no doubt about
I'd
that.
like to think so.
I hope so, too.
So that being said, like the intent still is the same. It's just my relationship with that
Right.
higher power is different, I think.
Okay.
And maybe I'm the wrong one. Like I
No,
said,
okay.
like this whole conversation is like me trying to figure out my life,
Sure,
my
sure.
life
I understand.
path, and like reflection and like happiness and
Okay.
like frequencies, and trying to make sense of the chaos that is every day.
Right.
And maybe that's one of those
Okay.
things that should
Okay. I want to ask you.
change.
Okay.
But
I want to ask you a question. In your life, what brings you a simple joy? Just a simple joy. And I'm going to throw this out to you. When times of turmoil or something like that, I'll go here to the Little League game,
Mhm.
and I'll buy a hot dog and a Coke, and I'll sit and watch.
that's creepy.
I'll just sit and watch some kids play little. I'll sit. Thanks. I'm glad you think that's
I'm
creepy.
just kidding.
No, but I mean, I think there's
Now
some,
you know, kids. I'm just kidding.
stalker. Be careful, my dad's out there. But I go back to that simple joy of, it's a simple joy to have a Coke and a
Mhm.
hot dog, and to watch a little kid play a baseball game.
Mhm.
It's just a simple joy. So I'm going to ask you. That's just my example, small example, and it could be going fishing. It may be paddleboarding.
Yeah.
What's a simple joy for Jordan? It
Mm.
it doesn't involve money.
Mm.
It doesn't involve anything other than it's just, when I kind of want to be grounded, or when I want to find something that's just pleasurable, and it's just a simple pleasure. What is that? A simple joy.
I would say running, or like just being active, but I feel like that's cheating the question. I don't know.
Because I think that sometimes that is an answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because in the complexity of where you are in LA and what you're trying to do, it's a shark infested, it's a shark feeding frenzy
Mhm.
type of a situation
Mhm.
that sometimes you have to come back to.
I love a lot of things.
I know you do.
I don't
That's
know.
why I'm
It
asking you.
depends on my mood.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm going as your father.
I would say picking up a camera and just going and taking pictures of something.
there it is.
That's it.
And it can be
I could, the sun could be setting and I could literally just grab my camera and go take pictures of dogs along the beach.
exactly right. Okay, so that's a simple joy. It costs
Nothing.
nothing.
Mhm.
It's something for you.
Mhm.
It's not something who's in the photo. It's
Mhm.
just something for you
Mhm.
to say, I enjoy this, man. This is making me happy right now. That's good. I mean, that's good, because I think finding a simple joy is always a foundation. It
Yeah.
always, because in a chaos, in the relationship that's falling apart, in a frustration of
That's an
talk,
escape.
it's just a simple something that brings you back to, you know what? I'm making things a lot more complicated than it is. And this is okay to be sitting on this wooden bench that's probably going to give me splinters.
Mhm.
And I'm going to have a hot dog, and I'm going to drink a Coke, and I'm going to watch some kids play baseball, and I'm not going to really care about who wins or who loses.
Right.
I'm just going to sit here and go, you know what? This is pretty damn good right here, right now. And if you can pick up your camera and go, you know what? I've had a shit for a day. I mean, nothing went right, and crap's falling apart. I'm going to take this camera, and I'm going to walk 100 yards to Redondo Beach, and I'm going to take pictures, because you know what?
That's just what makes me happy.
It's just a simple joy of, man, it's going to make me happy. Me happy. That's it. It's just going to make me happy. It's going to make me happy, and it's going to make me realize the rest of the crap is, you know what?
Mhm.
It's just crap.
Yeah.
And tomorrow morning you're going to wake up, and you're going to have an absolute great idea to solve any problem you may have earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it is Reese being an ass as your roommate, you're still going to be okay.
No.
He's never said anything about you but positive, Reese.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you doing this.
No, I appreciate being invited to do this.
This was fun.
It has been fun. Things went in directions I didn't think they would go in.
That's the point.
We talked about stuff I didn't think we would talk about, and it was very interesting.
Well, maybe we'll do it again.
Well, I hope
later on down the road. We can get into deeper stuff.
I don't know if I had that much material. I think we used it all. I mean,
whatever.
Maybe at the back cover of the book, there may not be anything left.
All right. Well, love you.
I love you too, George.
Thank
You're
you.
awesome. You're awesome.
Appreciate it. Appreciate you hyping me up.
No.
Ollie, everything you said was lies, everyone.
Exactly. Nothing but the truth, baby.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're way too much for Thanksgiving, so let's wrap this up and go get some sleep.